I know that when you watch a television show and you write in about something, you wonder if your mail is ever read. And I have been trying to catch up on the mail. It's been coming in about the show going off in boxes of 500, which are piling up. So I assume I will get to your letter sometime in November if it's at the bottom of that pile. But we did some past shows, which we got an awful lot of mail, particularly about when we had Allen Ginsberg and Joan Baez on. And I would just like to read it to you to show you what happens when you have something like that on the show. These were not typical guests, but I'll just read these straight through. How could you stoop so low as to have anyone like Joan Baez on your show is beyond me. She made the statement, who would want this country? If she doesn't like it, why doesn't she go somewhere else? I must say your show has the most appropriate sponsor, Santa Flesh, of any show on television. And I'm sure no one would miss her and her miserable talent, and I would be willing to bet no other country would want her either. Dick, let's see, where's that from? Michigan, not that it matters. It was so good to see Joan Baez on your show. Nonviolent movement is the future of humanity. If humanity is to have a future, hope to see her back again on your show. Thank you. Shows such as yours can be an influence for good, but not by providing a platform for those who hold our country in contempt. Joan Baez has amassed a fortune in our country under our system. I'd like to see her do it in any other country. She held up as an example. I'm sick of such un-American activities and pronouncements, my country, right or wrong. That's from Iowa. The actual source of that quote I looked up, and it's Carl Schurz, and the quote was, our country right or wrong, when right, keep her right, when wrong, to make her right again, which is more complicated, actually. Just to counteract the mail you may have gotten about Joan Baez Harris, enjoyed her very much after your tasteless remark about her husband. As well, thanks for having more courage than CBS. May I say further that bland, uninspired television offends my group. Sincerely, Ann Jennings. The appearance of Joan Baez, this is a telegram, on Dick Cavett's show Monday night was a revelation. Cavett's introduction, quote, the only guest I've had whose husband is in jail, end quote, was tasteless. But his opening remark, how does it feel to have your old man out of the house, sets a new standard for brutality in a medium whose basic contribution to American life is vulgarity. Cavett's comeuppance from the studio audience was surprising, but the revelation came from Miss Baez, her grace and her humanity, and Cavett, who when faced with a human being, revealed himself a fool. This is written to let you know that there are people who appreciate your letting Joan Baez express her views in relationship to the draft and the war and so on. Denver. Disappointing treatment of Baez deserves apology. Would appreciate explanation on air tonight. Is your liberal attitude a facade? Sorry to see you've been emasculated by ABC. Fraternally, the San Francisco Resistance. Thank you for showing courage and integrity by having someone on like Allen Ginsberg. It was the only opportunity many of us have had to hear this man speak. Your questions get right to the heart of the matter. Thank you. Why do you allow an insect like Allen Ginsberg to make a statement that Sinclair was sentenced to 9.5 to 10 years for possessing 2 marijuana cigarettes? I enjoy your show, but he was convicted for the 3rd time. Someone should clear this up. Why allow people to lie on your program? I'm disappointed in you. I guess I'll have to discontinue being one of your viewers. It's from Mr. Dentner, so someone can tell him that I read his letter. Well, your show is consistently interesting and entertaining, but tonight with Allen Ginsberg was the best yet. I hope that you will continue to see you for a long time, and Mr. Ginsberg again, William Mulligan, M.D. I'm sorry, I should not read some names and not others. Thank you for having Allen Ginsberg on. He's a great human being. On Tuesday, you had Allen Ginsberg on your show. After listening to your conversation with him, we came to the conclusion that he was in favor of drugs. He complained that a friend was given a sentence for 9 years for selling 2 sticks of pot. We would have given him 20 years. We are not old people. We're 15 and 16-year-old girls, and we don't consider ourselves squares. In our opinion, this man is a pig, and if the world were left in his hands, we feel it would be in a worse state than it is now. The drug user is a menace not only to himself but all society. And thank you for... we'd like to express our opinion that not all young people are in favor of drugs. Well, this goes on. It's interesting and confusing. Another letter in favor of Ginsberg, another letter against him. Honest people can disagree on this subject, and I am not against either of you. This sort of thing gets me a bit. Why did you have that Ginsberg animal on your show? Do you think young people should take LSD? No, I do not, as I said on that show. He was as repulsive and obnoxious, and furthermore, he should be tried for treason. Why doesn't the Army round up some of these rats and put them away somewhere? Mrs. So-and-so. You, madam, are a fool. Anyway, I would like to... I didn't hope you won't take that personally. And I don't mean to lump the other people who did not like Allen Ginsberg with you. My husband and I have been watching your show regularly. This is the confusing thing about doing this show. I explained this one night. I was talking to Jack Parr about it over the weekend. These, I think, speak for themselves. My husband and I have been watching your show regularly, enjoy it very much. Last night, Joan Baez, one of your guests, and I'm writing to let you know we did not agree with your stand against her. Usually, you're quite broad-minded, but last night you acted like a boob. Recently, I viewed the show in which Joan Baez was interviewed, and I was so appalled that I felt compelled to express my feelings. How sad that Americanism has slipped to this level. Hard to believe that anyone could make such comments on national television without one word of opposition from the host. There's a contradiction in those two. One more to show you that. May I tell you how happy I was that your audience did not applaud Joan Baez in the garbage her draft dodger husband wrote? But why did you sit there nodding and smiling agreement with every word out of her mouth? And the next letter says, Mr. Cavett's hostility and total ignorance of Joan Baez's message of brotherhood was despicable. He hates the love that she speaks of and that is possessed by Joan Baez, and it is a symbol of his insignificance. It's very hard to know which I did when I read these things. Anyway, I just wanted you to see that. People write in, I've said this before, when I disagree with someone, they say, you're supposed to shut up and be an objective host and not interrupt. And when I don't disagree with someone, they do. They say, the same people say, why don't you tell them? You know, why did you shut that guy up? So, as I said, please be more precise in your instructions. It's hard to know. There have been thousands of letters about the show going off. And this one amused me. I have favored my furniture. The kitchen floor shots bravo. The 3 toilet bowls are Santa flushed. Thanks to Raid, the only pest around is our dog. Our teenage daughters go with Clearasil and Sinex. And I'm smoking a Viceroy as I write. Is there anything else we can do to keep your litter entertaining program so on the air? You're to be commended for bringing us the best hours on television, so on. Thank you. I read that only to thank my sponsors who have stuck with us all through this. I don't know how this got in here, but I get it from the left and the right. How could you stoop to having William Buckley on your show? The man is a known snake. That's it. A known snake is really something. I know that's going to ruin his day. Anyway, thank you for indulging me in all that and letting me hear that. I must read now this from Elton Rule of ABC, who's president of ABC. It's a telegram. Congratulations on the Dick Cavett Summer Series. As I mentioned in our meeting earlier this week, the response to this innovative programming is most gratifying. As you know, we are now developing plans to ensure the future of the Dick Cavett Show on ABC. I assure you, Dick Cavett figures strongly in ABC's future. Elton Rule, president of ABC Television Network. I want to read that because I did want to explain once again to those who don't understand it that this show was merely planned as a summer experiment, so to speak, with the possibility of bringing back in the fall. And so in fairness to the network, this was not a cancellation. They had bought their fall schedule, and they have to go ahead with it. And in fairness to you, there is not a definite time at the moment for me to come on, but there will be talk in the next couple of weeks. Woody Allen, after this message.